Hey everyone, before we get into this video, I want to remind you of a couple giveaways we have going on. One is for a Nintendo Switch, a PlayStation 5, or an Xbox Series X. The other is for 2 copies of Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Now you can like this video, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon. Be sure to go down to the description, find out all the ways you can enter. I wish all of you guys luck. All right, Nintendo does not like hackers. I think that's been very, very obvious. They don't like pirating. They don't like hackers. They don't like anyone who touches their games. They go after ROM sites. But one thing they have been trying to do, and they've been trying to do this for years, is they have been trying to lock down piracy and hacking of Nintendo Switch consoles. Now, they generally don't care that you're hacking your consoles to play music or to load Android and play Netflix or put custom themes in or, overclock your Switch. They, in general, don't care that you're doing that. But what they do care about are a lot of people hack their Switches for the purpose of playing pirated games. Now, that sounds crazy, but it just happened with Mario 3D All-Stars, leaked on the internet, then a whole bunch of footage started going up on YouTube because people were pirating the game, and Nintendo doesn't want that to happen. So they have been trying to lock down their system for quite some time. Now, there is a known issue with the Tegra X1 chip that in the launch units all the way up through the version 2 units that it made it a lot easier to hack it. It involved basically shorting out 2 pins. And you don't need a special tool to do it, but a special tool does help. It is actually much harder to hack current Switches that come out than it is to do the original. So right now, most of the hacking community is actually centered around the first run of Switches all the way up through version 2. So Nintendo's been trying to lock it down. It's pretty much impossible at this point for Nintendo to completely lock it down. But what they are doing is winning a lawsuit involving a hack store that was selling products made by Team Executor. Team Executor is the leading Switch hacking group that is selling products and handing out software and all this jazz to hack Switches. So this news over here came to me courtesy of Super Metal Dave 64. Be sure to go check out his YouTube channel. He's a great guy. But here's what it says. Nintendo wins a $2 million judgment against Nintendo Switch piracy hack store. Nintendo has come to an agreement with uberchips.com, an online store. It's sued for offering Team Executor's Switch hacks and chips. Ohio-based uberchips.com and its operator agreed to a $2 million judgment. The consent agreement, which has yet to be signed by the judge, also requires the store to destroy all remaining stock. Nintendo is doing everything in its power to stop the public from playing pirated games on the Switch console. Their major adversary in the infamous hacking community group, Team Executor, which released several jailbreak hacks for the game's console. After cracking Switch's original technical protections in 2018, Team Executor released a new range of products this year. These SX Core and SX Lite chips work on all Switch Classic and Lite consoles, while previous hacks were limited to a subset of devices. Nintendo sued uberchips.com as Nintendo's efforts to go directly after Team Executor failed. It's really hard to go after people directly. The game company targeted several stores that offered these new hacks for sale instead. Those included uberchips.com, which is operated by Ohio resident Tom Diltz Jr. Soon after the lawsuit was filed, Uberchips went offline, but the lawsuit didn't appear. Uberchips owner realized this, and in June he responded in court through his attorney, denying pretty much all allegations. After this initial response, things went quiet, at least in court. Behind the scenes, however, both parties got together to see if there was a way to resolve the matter. This week, they reached that agreement. In a joint filing, Nintendo and Uberchips operators submitted a proposed final judgment and a permanent injunction. As expected, Diltz is prohibited from selling Team Executor chips or similar devices going forward. In addition, there's also a hefty damages award of $2 million. The plaintiff is hereby awarded judgment against all defendants jointly and severely in the amount of $2 million. The proposed judgment reads, adding that both parties will cover their own legal costs. It is not uncommon for settlements to be higher on paper than they are in reality, so we can't actually say that that's what the case will be here, but considering the scale of the award, it's certainly possible. The permanent injunction both parties agreed on prohibits the site's operator from trafficking in any circumvention devices, including the SX Pro, SX Core, and SX Lite. Infringing Nintendo's copyrights in any other way is not an option either, and all remaining stock must be destroyed. The court further orders the seizure, impoundment, or destruction of all circumvention devices, all copies of the SX OS, and other electronic material or physical devices within the defendant's custody, possession, or control. The proposed order reads. Finally, Diltz can no longer maintain the UberChips Facebook group or any type of related social media and must hand over uberchips.com domain to Nintendo. Man, Nintendo is just getting everything. The proposed judgment has yet to be signed off by the court. However, considering that it has been submitted with the consent of both parties, that shouldn't be much of a problem. When signed off, the case will be ending. UberChips was the only known operator of the Team Executor stores Nintendo went after. A separate case filed against 8 presumably foreign site operators remains ongoing. In that case, the game giant has thus far been unable to identify the owners. For this reason, it recently asked for a permanent injunction so it can ask domain registrars and hosting companies to shut them down. Team Executor is not a party in any of these lawsuits, but denies that it is a piracy group producing piracy tools. Instead, it accused Nintendo of censorship, monopolistic control, and legal scare tactics. All right, so what's happening here is Team Executor. The thing with Team Executor is Nintendo can't really determine who Team Executor is. They can't figure out who it is because to shut down Team Executor, you need to be able to identify the people behind Team Executor. And Nintendo can't identify them. So they can't file a lawsuit against anyone because they can't figure out who they are. That's something that comes up here where Nintendo has 8 other pending lawsuits about the same sales of these products against other online vendors, but they can't find the owner. So they can't find the person to include in the lawsuit. Hence why they're now trying to do an injunction to force the registers of those domains to give up the contact information so Nintendo can properly file the suit. They were able to do this with UberChips. They were able to figure out who owned it, hence why they went after them, and now Nintendo owns UberChips and whatever. I don't know if that settlement will even be paid. Maybe the forfeiture of uberchips.com and the destruction of the assets is enough for Nintendo, and maybe the value of the site is considered of equal to $2 million. I have no idea. The point is that Nintendo does not like Team Executor at all. Team Executor is the leading people selling all the devices to hack switches and providing the products, and Nintendo is sick of it. They're sick of it. They have tried internally to patch things, and they're still going to keep trying to patch different hacks and release different hardware revisions to deal with it. But in the end, Nintendo wants there to be legal repercussions, because if legal repercussions exist, it's going to make Team Executor and others that attempt to take their place, if they ever get caught and shut down, it's going to make them be afraid of legal repercussions, millions of dollars. Like if Nintendo can get the contacts or Team Executor and sue them for the creation of these products, Nintendo is in line to make millions and millions and millions of dollars that it's likely Team Executor can't actually afford to pay. So, like, Nintendo is using the full force of the law to stop switch hacking and to delay or deter switch hacking in the future. They are doing everything they can to combat hackers. Is it going to work? I don't know. I made a video a long time ago talking about how Nintendo has defeated hackers, and they have, again, but I mean, Nintendo's struggling here to try to shut this down. But this settlement sets a precedent for future lawsuits. So I wish Nintendo luck in what they're doing. Again, I don't have a problem if people hack their Switches, guys. It's piracy. And the Switch hacking community is kidding themselves that they don't think piracy happens. We just had it happen with 3D All-Stars. It was just pirated to fucking hell. Like, we need to be honest about what's happening. The Switch hacking community needs to stop pretending that there are not severe amounts of pirating happening. Because there are. It's blatantly obvious. Every time a new game leaks on the internet before it comes out, it's so blatantly obvious how much pirating is going on. And I know some people justify, I'm going to buy a copy eventually. But right now, you're playing an illegal copy of the game. You're pirating the game. So, it is what it is. Nintendo wants to shut that down, and you know what? I hope they do. I'm sorry. The hacking community is probably going to hate me for that, but it is what it is. I'm going to side with Nintendo on this one. Again, I don't care if you hack your Switch, you overclock it, whatever. I'm a tech guy. It's cool. Hack your stuff. I've always been anti-piracy, and I'm going to continue to be anti-piracy. So I am Nathaniel Overjets from Nintendo Prime. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video.